Manchester City will head to Bayer 04 Leverkusen without Rodri once again, as the midfielder continues his battle to regain full fitness. After a series of setbacks following his recovery from an anterior cruciate ligament injury, the Spanish international has been sidelined for recent fixtures against Borussia Dortmund, Newcastle and Liverpool. Rodri, who hasn't started a match since suffering a hamstring issue against Brentford in early October, is still working his way back to peak form. His only appearance since then came as a late substitute in City's 7-2 win over Bournemouth, but his comeback attempt was cut short. Guardiola has confirmed that Rodri will miss Tuesday. Etihad, with the manager stressing the importance of giving the player ample time to recover. Rodri is making progress, Guardiola said. It's been nearly 4 weeks since his last setback. He knows the physical and mental challenges he's facing. He must be patient and take the necessary time to get back to his best so he can be consistent for the rest of the season. The 29-year-old, who enjoyed a standout season in 2024, including a Ballon d'Or nomination, has struggled to maintain fitness since his return to action. Guardiola is taking a cautious approach with Rodri's recovery, prioritising long-term availability over rushing him back too soon. In addition to Rodri's absence, City will also be without Mateo Kovacic, who is recovering from Achilles surgery. However, Guardiola confirmed that the rest of the squad is fit and ready for what promises to be a tough encounter against Bayer 04 Leverkusen, a team currently performing strongly. Bayer 04 Leverkusen is a top team, Guardiola said. They're one of the toughest sides to face, especially at home. They're in Champions League form and doing really well, so we know it'll be a difficult match. But we're ready for the challenge. The fixture marks the start of a grueling period for Manchester City, with 2 matches a week set to continue until January. With the international breaks behind them, Guardiola believes the real season begins now. Now that we're through the international windows, this is when the season truly kicks off, Guardiola explained. It's a long stretch ahead, but what matters most is staying competitive and being in contention by the time we reach the final stretch in April and May. Guardiola also reflected on the tight race at the top of the table, pointing to previous experiences with teams like Liverpool and Arsenal. When you get an advantage, it's hard for others to catch up. But right now, it's November, and nothing is decided yet. The real test comes in February and March. With a demanding run of fixtures ahead, Guardiola stressed the importance of building momentum. Winning tomorrow is crucial for us. We need to keep pushing and be in a good position when the season reaches its peak. Manchester City teenage sensation is doing Erling Haaland things as transfer coup pays off. Teddy Lamb has been in sensational goal-scoring form for Manchester City under-18s this season. On a day when Erling Haaland failed to score for just the 3rd time in 21 games for club and country this season, another Manchester City scoring sensation kept up his incredible goal record. Haaland drew a blank as City lost at Newcastle in the Premier League on Saturday night. But at academy level, Teddy Lamb continues to find the net with ruthless regularity. The teenage sensation scored twice and set up the other 2 goals as City's under-18s beat Sheffield United 4-1 in the Premier League Cup. It wasn't enough to see the young Blues through to the knockout stage as they missed out on top spot on goal difference to Crystal Palace. But the contest on Saturday morning served as a further reminder of the burgeoning talents of the prolific Lamb. He netted 5 goals in the 3 group games, while his under-18 Premier League record stands at 8 goals in as many games. It's a superb record for the youngster who arrived from Leyton Orient earlier this year for £355,000. Still only 16 years old, Lamb is already displaying the goal-scoring impact that caught the eye of City scouts when the youngster was coming through at Orient. The forward has been touted as one to watch with his goals grabbing the headlines, but his all-round ability to hold up the ball and link play also catching the eye. And Lamb, speaking after the 7-3 win over Blackburn in August, reiterated his desire to continue learning and developing over the coming campaign. My technical game, as a number 9 you want to have that all-round play and not just the finishing and pressing, he said. So just to tidy everything up and I will look a lot better. I want to go again and get more. I don't want to stop here. I want to carry on going. Lamb was attracting attention from a number of top clubs with his displays for Orient at youth level, but City won the race for his signing. Oliver Rice's under-18 side are top of the table with 8 wins from 9 games, and Lamb's goals have been a key ingredient. Rice is delighted to see Lamb in such form. even if he finding the net regularly is the requirement he demands from a centre forward. That's his job. Scoring goals. I'm happy with him, of course, but it's nice to see, Rice said earlier this season. Again, us scoring goals, it doesn't matter who, but when our number 9 scores a lot of goals, of course I'm happy with him, and I'm happy for him. Wayne Rooney gives Manchester City penalty verdict after clear Phil Foden moment. Wayne Rooney reckons Manchester City should have been awarded a penalty in their 2-1 defeat to Newcastle United on Saturday evening. Wayne Rooney has argued that Manchester City were denied a clear penalty during their Premier League loss to Newcastle United. Ruben Dias' second-half equaliser wasn't enough for City at St James's Park, as a Harvey Barnes brace dealt Pep Guardiola's side their first defeat in 5 games. The outcome brought welcome relief for Howe, as his side increased their distance from the relegation zone. For Guardiola, it represented a significant blow to City's ambitions of overtaking Arsenal at the top of the league. The majority of the drama at St James's Park unfolded after the interval. However, the visiting City supporters reckoned they were owed a penalty before half-time when Fabian Schär challenged Phil Foden inside the area. Despite his historic rivalry with City fans, Rooney shares their opinion. He said on Match of the Day, "I think it is a penalty. I think it's good play from Manchester City. Jeremy Doku getting in the pocket, plays a lovely ball to Phil Foden. And from there you think he's maybe just snatched at it, but from this angle you see he's stretching for the ball, the defender comes across, clearly doesn't take the ball, and hits Phil Foden on top of his foot. So I think that's a penalty." MOTD host Mark Chapman attempted to clarify the rule the referee was following as he stated, "Where there is contact, following an attacker either passing the ball or taking a shot at goal, where the contact is inevitable or a consequence of momentum, play should typically be allowed to continue. Where the contact is either reckless or serious foul play, then a penalty kick should be awarded." Rooney replied, "Yeah, it's reckless. If you look at the moment of impact, the defender's leg is straight and it studs up, so it's a straight leg and studs on Phil Foden's foot. I think it's a clear penalty." The decision didn't swing in City's favour though, and Newcastle ultimately pocketed 3 points. If Arsenal beat Tottenham on Sunday, the Blues could be 7 points adrift. According to Sky Sports, Guardiola walked into the referee's room after the game. But when the City manager was quizzed on this, he said everything is fine and it is what it is. Regarding his team's performance at St James's Park, Guardiola told the media post-match, "We gave everything. We wanted to make a step like we have done in the last 2 months, but this is not an easy place to come after the international break. There is a long way to go. It was a tight game. Chances for both sides. Gigio was extraordinary. We missed chances and second half we conceded a goal. There were more chances for both sides, but we could not take the result." Guardiola's side host Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League next. City are undefeated in Europe so far this season, having won all their games, bar a 2-2 draw against AS Monaco. Their next Premier League game is a home fixture against newly promoted Leeds United. City have won the last 2 home games against Leeds, 9-1 on aggregate. Ruben Dias fumes in intense interview as he questions Manchester City decisions. Make it make sense. Manchester City were on the wrong end of a couple of dubious decisions in their defeat to Newcastle on Saturday. Ruben Dias was left scratching his head over a number of decisions that went against Manchester City in their defeat to Newcastle on Saturday evening. Phil Foden had a penalty appeal waved away after he was wiped out by Fabian Schär shortly after taking a shot. Then Gianluigi Donnarumma claimed he was fouled in the build-up to Harvey Barnes' second goal of the game. Neither decision was given as City went on to lose the game 2-1. Dias spoke after the game and he expressed his frustration at the calls. The City defender said Newcastle were the better team on the night and deserved to win the game, but he admitted he was baffled by some of the decisions that had been made. "Obviously, I feel like there was one in the first half with Phil. I feel like they were saying it was very clear," he told Sky Sports. "Only the second goal I feel like we need to make it make sense. Where is the sense in their player pushing our goalkeeper outside the goal? What are we allowing and for how long? It's more like sometimes you allow it and sometimes you don't. Where's the rule? What can you actually do?" In the second goal, Gigio is in his place and he's being pushed out, and there's no consequence, it's allowed. I didn't even realise on the pitch, I thought it was weird he was out of position, but I had the chance to see the review, and Barnes is pushing him away from the goal. We're so picky with certain contacts, but one like this, you allow it? If this is the rule, that's fine. Let us do the same. Back in the day, this was a foul. Now apparently it's allowed. When you lose, people are going to say you find excuses, but it's nothing like that. Newcastle were better, they deserved the win, they finished more chances than us. So all I'm saying is, in terms of the rule, there needs to be a rule. I've just seen the image of the contact on Donnarumma and, yeah, City missed the chance to close the gap on rivals Arsenal to just 1 point with the defeat to Newcastle. Mikel Arteta's side face Tottenham on Sunday, and a win will see them extend their lead over City to 7 points. Chelsea's win against Burnley means City have dropped a place to third in the table. Manchester City, player ratings versus Newcastle with 3-5-10s, but Gianluigi Donnarumma, good Manchester City saw their 4-game winning run come to an end as they were beaten 2-1 by Newcastle at St James's Park. Manchester City missed the chance to close the gap to Arsenal at the top of the Premier League after losing a wild and chaotic game to Newcastle at St James's Park. The goals began to flow in the final half hour. Harvey Barnes fired Newcastle ahead with a smart finish, only for Ruben Dias to respond almost immediately. But Barnes made it 3 goals in 7 minutes when he tapped in from a